up with the sun, going to shoot a bridal portrait on a rooftop in Oklahoma City. And being that it's mid-June, it's going to be about 100 degrees today, so that's why we're getting up early. So I photographed weddings part-time and then full-time for probably 6 or 7 years before I was introduced to film. Then I went through kind of a period of burnout, I guess you'd say, with digital photography, and then film kind of saved me from that. Photographed weddings with medium format film and did a lot of personal work on 35mm, and just kind of changed, like film does. It changed a lot about the process for me. And it allowed me to come back to digital with a different perspective on, what a camera is as a tool. So I look for photos that help people remember a feeling, and there's a lot of cliche that surrounds that whole idea in wedding photography, but when you boil it down, that's really what it's about. There's a lot of trends that drive our industry, but ultimately I think if you can find and kind of distill emotions that are specific to a time and place, and on a wedding day those things are all over the place, so it's just about watching and being perceptive and trying to catch those things. Part of that process for film for me was shooting Fuji's medium format color films and falling in love with those colors and the skin tone that you can get, and just the quality, like the detail that you can get out of a medium format film camera. And there's always been a little bit of a disconnect in those two mediums, whether it's 35mm or even a full frame digital sensor. There's, I think they all fall short a little bit in some sense from medium format film. And being a wedding photographer primarily on location, any editorial things I do are a little more kind of on location, not necessarily a full studio setup. I've never really had an interest or the ability to use a medium format digital camera, being tethered to a laptop and all the issues that come up with the size and things. So when I started seeing the specs on this GFX, it was super attractive to me to kind of find that image quality again from the medium format size, but just the form factor of the camera is pretty impressive. It's small and it's light and it's relatively fast compared to what else is out there in the medium format digital market. So yeah, I was just really curious to kind of try it out and put it through the paces of my style of shooting, which is a lot of movement and not necessarily fast-paced, but certainly not like stationary. And so and it was really great. I liked it a lot. It shoots exactly like any of the X series cameras do. So if you're used to a Fuji X series camera, like it's just a bigger version of one of those. If you're used to a manual film camera, it's just like that, except it's got this beautiful touchscreen on the back. If you're used to shooting a tactile camera, they've done a great job designing it that way. So I love the fact that everything is right on the top of the camera. You can see all of your settings, all of your aperture, shutter speed, ISO right there. And it shoots like a digital SLR, honestly. The EVF is amazing. It's really big and really bright and sharp. And it shoots, as far as the handling goes, I think it's probably lighter than what my Nikon setup was. The images are wild. Like, I'm just not used to having that much file to kind of dig into, and you feel like when you click through to like 1:1 in Lightroom and see the detail there, like you're just gonna fall into the screen. So it's pretty impressive. I only was able to shoot with the camera for just a short amount of time on one shoot, and yeah, definitely I'm curious to see in jobs coming up, like how it does in different lighting situations and things like that. But we put it through some pretty good backlighting, like you know, environmental light. Like, it was awesome. So. Yeah, so one thing that caused me a little bit of pause before switching over to the Fuji system was the whole EVF discussion, right? Like, I had the very first X100, and I was never a big fan of the EVF until this last kind of iteration of the X series cameras. Obviously, I'm a fan of them now. That's all I shoot. And so I was really curious to see, okay, when they put an EVF on a medium format digital, like, what is that like? I was impressed. It was awesome. And when you're shooting with the camera where the files are that big, and you kind of, I kind of had like this muscle memory of shooting with a 645, you know, medium format film camera. And when you hold a camera like that, you think, okay, everything has to be right before I fire the shutter. Well, you literally know what it looks like through that EVF. So, you know, the purist photographer in me kind of battled with that a little bit, like, oh man, like, that's a little bit cheating, you know? And then you look at it and you're like, it makes my job so much easier. It's beautiful. It saves you a lot of time, it saves you a lot of hassle, and it's, honestly, I think it's kind of the next iteration of photography. Like, it streamlines the process and helps you get a better image.